is choose a modality, and I have chosen treadmill. So I'll be getting on the treadmill, and I want to reach usually between 1 to 3 minutes to ensure that a steady state heart rate is achieved. And then once I've achieved that, we do a continuous talk test. So for my ventilatory threshold 1 test, I chose the treadmill, but I didn't jog or run, but I walked, and I chose usually the incline as my incremental workload increase. And a couple of times I popped the speed as well as the incline. And it looks like, so my heart rate went from the beginning right around 78 at warm-up. That was after walking at a mile per hour for about 3-4 minutes. It was 78 per minute heart rate. Talk test was easy. My rate of perceived exertion was at 1 on a scale of 1 to 10. And then at 2 miles, it went up to 84 my heart rate went up to 84 beats per minute. My perceived exertion up to 2. At 3 miles, with an incline of 10%, my heart rate went up to 98, my perceived exertion to 3. And then by the time I had the miles per hour at 3.3 and the incline at 8, so that was after several minutes, my heart rate got up to 130 and my perceived rate of exertion was 5. Then when I got my incline up to 10, that's pretty high. My talk test was mildly challenging, and my heart rate was 137. My rate of perceived exertion was 6. By the very end, after I'd done that, I bumped it up another 1/10 of a mile, so I was at 3.4 miles at a 10% incline, or an incline of 10. I don't really know what they measure that against. It was beginning to be challenging. My heart rate was 141, and my rate of perceived exertion was 7. So that's right about where you're going to find your VT1. And that's when you are burning 50% glycogen and 50% fat. So you want to stay there or just a little bit lower if you really want to burn fat. So that was interesting. The next time we do it, I will film, but it was kind of challenging to figure it all out. So, yeah. One of the best ways to improve our daily caloric expenditure, and yes, that is still a valid way to measure energy as a metric for in versus out. It still works. It's still valid. It's just that there are also other factors like hormonal sensitivity, etc. But one of the best ways for us to improve our movement and energy expenditure are what we call non-exercise activities, or non-exercise activity thermogenesis, NEAT. So when you're gardening or just going for a lovely walk, or when you're cleaning your house, when you're doing laundry, running the vacuum, sweeping, changing the cat litter box, taking care of your children, folding laundry, doing dishes, cooking, all of that, it all counts as non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And it's really a much larger factor in fighting overweight and obesity than targeted exercise. Although I think that targeted exercise is very important, and I know, not everybody wants to do it, but especially for women in perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, we need to do some resistance training, even if it's only 2 days a week. Girlfriend, pick something a little bit heavy for you up and move it around. That's really all there is to it. Obviously, if you're doing specific resistance training, you want to do it properly and correctly. So this is from the garden, and I wasn't filming earlier when I found it. I found a big patch of catnip that's growing really well, so I took, and it's really clean, it doesn't have any bug mite stuff on it, so I cut a bunch of it, and I'm soaking it in olive oil, and I'm going to make a salve with it. I know that it's good for upper respiratory, so kind of along the lines of menthol or Vicks Vapor Rub, because it's in the mint family, catnip. I'm sure I could probably get my cats high with a drop of oil, but I just give it to them straight, either dried or just fresh out of the garden. Or they know where to go get it and harvest it themselves. They're so smart. But so I learned this from resting witch face. So you just put the fresh herbs in a jar and fill it till it's submerged with olive oil, and it's kind of floating back up, but I packed it down. It was pretty well submerged. I'm not gonna give it more oil. I think it's doing fine. But yeah, so check out the channel Resting Witch Face. She's a woman that lives in somewhere in California, I'm not sure where, but she's got a beautiful, beautiful yard and beautiful, does beautiful altar decorations for our high holy holidays and stuff. She's, I don't know if she claims to be pagan. I think she's probably pretty openly a witch. And she's a very cool lady. I really like her channel. It's called Resting Witch Face. I'll write it in the comments or in the description. But anyway, so I'm starting to do some of my summer herb learning, because it's not something I know a whole lot about. So I'm very excited. And hi, how are you? Assalamu alaikum.